All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining us on Monday, March 13th. We'll now call tonight's council meeting to order for Monday, March 13th. At this time, we'll begin tonight's meeting with an opening prayer. And I am going to give Councilmember McBride a break tonight. And ask that you would please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, the Holy Scripture tells us, behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. So I thank you for the opportunity to come together in the spirit of unity to work on behalf of the Bladensburg community. I thank you for every member of our team, from code enforcement to the admin team, public works, the police department, the fire department, and our town council. Please cover, protect, and bless each and every member of our team as they seek to serve the town of Bladensburg. I ask a special blessing over every resident, community stakeholder, and business owner. As we convene for tonight's council meeting, help us to work together and respectfully work through our differences as we strive to make the town of Bladensburg the most beautiful, clean, and safe community in our county. In your name we pray, amen. At this time, we will proceed forward with the next item on our agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Gray, are you able to put the flag up for us? There it is. All right. And let's see, who wants to lead us? Councilmember Brown, you want to lead us? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any corrections or edits? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. So we do not have any special appearances for tonight, so we'll proceed with the approval of our prior meeting minutes, beginning with January 9th. Is there a motion to approve the January 9th regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any corrections or edits? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next, the February 13th meeting minutes are up for approval. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any corrections or edits? Councilmember Blunt, I just wanted to point out at the bottom, you'll see where we just did the excused absence because of, last month. So I just wanted you to know we did agree to do that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Charnovich for the reading of public comment.
Well, thank you, Mayor James. One moment. Gotta get that H2O. All right, so this evening I have two official public comments that I received for the record. If by chance somebody sent one that I missed, feel free to reach out to me and I'll make sure it gets rectified at a future meeting. I scoured through my many emails to make sure I didn't miss one. So here, our first public comment this evening is from town residents Jessica Carroll. Dear Council, firstly, I thank the Council and Administration for working to find a solution to the issue of the warm night shelter proposed on Annapolis Road. However, I would like to call attention also to the residents who actively sought to inform and engage the community, some knocking door to door regarding this potential development in the absence of clear communication from the town. Unfortunately, for many of these residents, they were left disappointed when the council failed to address or acknowledge the issue at the subsequent February council meeting, only furthering the sense of a lack of transparency around the issue and development, particularly those like myself in the immediately impacted area. I hope that the upcoming development opportunities, specifically those mentioned in the release statement regarding the site, will set the tone for a more inclusive and transparent process that seeks to actively engage town residents. As a development professional, a key practice to all of our projects involves participatory stakeholder engagement from the outset to co-design solutions with the community that are responsive to community needs. I suggest this process to start with a town hall type of event to review the sector plans and gather additional feedback and input based on changing needs, and to encourage a two-way form of communication. In a community as diverse as Bladensburg, this type of engagement cannot be limited to written public comments and Zoom meetings, which are inaccessible to some. As a resident, I would like to see information disseminated through a broader array of channels and forums to allow resident feedback and input to address issues we face as residents of the town. Jessica Carroll, town resident. And the second official public comment I received in email is from town resident Steve Whites. Our town needs a larger town hall with more office space and more parking spaces. I am asking the town council to look into converting the empty church building next to the Save-A-Lot store to be our new town hall and offices. This building is already an existing building with a lot of big rooms and plenty of parking spaces. Please check to see what renovations will be needed to convert this church building into our new town hall. Please provide cost estimates and a project plan. We also need a trade school in Bladensburg. There is a large school building between Annapolis Road and Tilden Road at the corner of 53rd Avenue and Annapolis Road. Only part of the big school building is currently being used, and there is plenty of parking spaces there. I am asking the town council to look into converting this big school building into a trade school. Please get cost estimates and provide a project plan. Thank you, Steve Whites, town resident. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Charnovich, for reading the public comment submitted for tonight. And thank you for those who took time to express your input regarding Bladensburg. To follow up, this was discussed in the previous meeting, but the town did just share based on the process regarding the proposed warm night shelter. And so I encourage folks to go back and review that. But again, the whole point of putting it on the agenda was, one, to thank the council for working together to get all the information so that we could really do our due diligence before speaking publicly about it. And so we understand it wasn't fast enough for some, and we get that, but it's our responsibility as leaders in the community to make sure we get all the information before speaking out. And so I do want to acknowledge Councilmember Rout, because she received information first and she shared it with the team, and we went into action by working together. We were able to meet with Councilmember Jolene Ivy. We were able to meet with the involved directors of the agencies involved in those conversations around this proposed project. And second to that meeting, we were able to go to the county executive's office to follow that up. What, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the work session, but when we met with the agency heads and Councilmember Ivy, the town council was actually able to show them the renderings for our master plan. So we didn't just verbally say, this is something we're working on. We were actually able to show them the products. And they were actually impressed with how much work had been done in this effort to move the town's redevelopment projects forward. And then when we followed that up, explaining that we've already started getting resources to help with some of our redevelopment from the town hall to the trade school to the Bostwick House. And we had also received a grant through Maryland National Capital Park and Planning to do a market feasibility study for the Annapolis Road corridor. They were really impressed that we weren't just saying, no, we don't want this. We weren't just being NIMBY saying not in my backyard. We legitimately had developed plans in coordination with our residents, with our stakeholders, with all these different groups of people, and by partnering with the University of Maryland School of Architecture. And so again, that's why I want to express my gratitude for everyone, including Councilmember Ivy, for coming down here to be part of those conversations. But I also want to thank the team because a smaller group of us went to the county executive's office to advocate to her directly. It was not enough just to talk to the directors of the agencies, but we needed to make the case directly to her because she had the authority to say, we will not move forward with this transitional housing project, but we understand and we respect that you as leaders have put this plan together, not by yourselves, but with the residents. And that really struck her when we kept saying, this is what we committed to our residents to do. So anything less than that is us going back on our word. She understood. She agreed and again, directed her staff to work with us. And so again, thank you for your patience, but I do commend the council for not just, being worried and saying we just have to do something quickly, but really taking our time to work together and including with our staff, because the directors were a part of this process too. And I don't want to leave them out or exclude them, as well as our consultant, Mr. Perez. And fortunately, we're taking action. We're back on track. As I said in the work session, COVID did delay our plans. We would have been further along had this thing called COVID never happened, because there were clear actions happening prior to that, but we had to adjust. And I'm proud of the way we adjusted in a pandemic that no one on this call has ever experienced. So again, we appreciate all perspectives, but just thought it was important to just convey that to the community so you understand why the council as a body took certain steps and did not speak publicly until a certain point in time. So with that, again, just thank you. Are there any other comments or questions before we move forward with the agenda? Thank
Senator
you.
James, I said it
Sure.
before, but I'm gonna say it again. I thank our residents, and I'm charging our residents in our statement. We charged our residents to stay engaged with us. This is a great time to be in Bladensburg because, now that COVID is lessened, we're moving. Okay, so this is a great time to make this place make Bladensburg the best place to work, play, grow, and learn. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. And so with that, we did want to just segue into some of the legislative letters of support. I don't think we have to repeat it because we did spend extensive time on it in the work session, but the council did agree to get the timelines from our consultant, Mr. Perez, on the upcoming bills that we need to take positions on with letters of support and or testimony. So again, I committed to the council. I'll get those deadlines from him, get back to you all so we have a clear understanding of what is due when. And that's with the caveat that one deadline is tomorrow, right, Mr. Charnovich, for CB 024-2023. So that has to happen sooner than later. But at least for the state level bills, we'll get those timelines so that we can get letters drafted and meet the upcoming deadlines. The next item under unfinished business is regarding the Board of Supervisors of Election Appointments. Mr. Charnovich.
Yes, thank you, Mayor James. So a few things on this front, and I'll try to be concise. At the last council meeting, it was asked, number one, to look into whether or not Prince George's County would administer our election. So unfortunately, the answer to that is no. Our town charter clearly calls out that we must administer our election through a Board of Supervisors of Elections. I also checked with our town attorney on that as well. So since then, I reached out to call for volunteers to serve on the board. I will say that I did it in a very short time frame, knowing that probably an extension of time would be needed if we didn't get a good response. Getting volunteers can always be a challenge in local government. So, but I will say that before the deadline I gave, I had 2 people interested in joining the board, including one of them who has been on multiple elections now in Bladensburg, which is a great thing for continuity's sake. And then over the weekend, I also saw that we have a 3rd member that came in who wants to join the board of elections also. So I would say, Mayor, that the reason I didn't present all those names forward tonight was I was going to come tonight with the update, and then to say that I think so far we have 3 people interested, and my recommendation would be that we extend the deadline a little more based on what I'm seeing so far, to give some more time for people who may want to join the board. And then you know, the based on the charter, the term of the Board of Elections does not even commence until April the 1st. So I think we're okay. There's no true deliverable that's needed before then at this point. So I think I would just ask for a bit more time now that we've learned about the county's position and whatnot. And if we will continue to publish things out through our email blast notice, maybe some special notices if we need to keep trying to garner volunteers. And if anybody knows anyone who wants to serve on the Board of Supervisors of Elections, feel free to have them apply to me. So in summary, we have 3 people interested to date.
Thank you for that, Mr. Charnovich. We definitely appreciate the update and just want to open it up to the council to see if everyone is comfortable with giving more time. I do say it is concerning that we only have 3 people, because if someone's sick on election day and you're down to 2, that's not a good scenario to be in. We at least should have 5 volunteers who are committed to this. And so I feel like that really is our best option at this point, is to extend that deadline. But again, just want to make sure everyone else is comfortable with that. Councilmember Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. I am in agreement to extend. And are we saying that, I mean, the goal is to at least have 5, because you made a good point there. You know, if someone's out, someone's traveling, someone's sick, and we need to have more than 2, 3 people. So is our goal 5 people, or is that our goal? 5 or 6 people? What's the goal?
Mr. Charnovich, I'm trying to remember from the charter, and I guess I could pull it up too. I thought it was 5, but Mr. Charnovich, if you know that answer, and then Councilmember Rao, I'm not ignoring you. I just want to get the response before we move forward.
Yes, Mayor, I do. It's a minimum of 3. And I note that from the 2021 election, the document that I was given, I wasn't here for the 2021 election with Bladensburg, but the document that I was given, I believe, had 6 names on it. So I think 5 to 7 people would probably be a good 5 at a minimum would be great. 7 is ideal also. I would not recommend an even number for if any votes need taken or whatever, but
Right.
I would say 5 at a minimum would be a great target.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for that input. Did
You're
that
welcome.
answer the question, Councilmember Brown? Okay, Councilmember Rao, thank you for your patience. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor James, Mr. Charnovich. I just want us to be reminded of the clear language that's stated in section 302 in our charter, which states that we shall be, the Board of Supervisors in elections consists of 3 members or more who shall be appointed by the mayor and council on or before the first Monday in March every odd numbered year. The town clerk shall be a member of the Board of Supervisors of Elections. The term of each member of the Board of Supervisors of Elections shall be on the first day of April in the year which appointed, and he shall serve for 2 years or until the council appoints a new board until he is removed. I'm just concerned, given that this language identified by our charter on or before the first Monday in March, every odd numbered year. I just want us to make sure we're following our charter. We don't want no charter violations. So if we have 3, my recommendation is to move forward with those 3 at this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Rao. And we did understand the language in the charter at the February meeting when we realized that we had the call out for volunteers and would not meet that deadline. And so as a body, we did all agree that we would wait until tonight to make that happen. So I don't want people to feel like we didn't know. We made a conscious decision knowing the first Monday is what was stipulated. But again, at that point, we didn't even have 2 people. I think we were down to 1 at the time. And so we're just trying to be compliant, but also realistic in terms of this is the scenario. I don't recall ever having a challenge getting volunteers with this. So this really is an unusual situation that we're in. And then my concern is if we take the recommendation, which I do think is a good one, if we take the recommendation for the 3, 1, we haven't seen their information prior to voting on them. So that's a concern of mine. I wouldn't want to be put in that position or asking you guys to review it right now and vote on appointing or not appointing these people. But even with the inclusion of Mr. Charnovich as part of the Board of Supervisors of Elections, we're still at an even number. So if a vote is taken, you need that tie-breaking vote. So the odd number, I think, is something that's important that we have to meet. And so, I mean, my thought was just contact Sue Ellen, let her know we're having challenges meeting this section of the charter. You know, this is not the first time we brought it up. We discussed this at the February meeting. We put it out to the community. There's been dedicated email blasts about it as well. And this is the scenario we're in. So at least we have general counsel advising us on the best path forward. So, I mean, tell me what you all think. If you want to take up a vote for the 3 tonight, then make that known. Otherwise, I think we need to consult Mrs. Ferguson on this. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. Thank you, Councilmember Rao. I think that we should consult with our attorney. We are following the charter. We have put some information out there, and we are. We don't have a tiebreaker, so we want to be fair and equitable to all of the residents or the people who want to run for this office. And I think we are following the charter. We are doing our due diligence and consult with the town attorney.
Yeah, I think I'd feel worse if we just forgot about it, but we've been talking about it and we've been trying. But I think if everyone on the council is okay, let's get Sue Ellen involved and get her guidance on our next steps.
Definitely need her guidance.
Mr.
Wish she
Charnovich,
was
your
here.
hand. Yeah, I know. I know. Mr. Charnovich, your hand was up and then it went away. Was that intentional or was that from before?
It was just bouncing around. I think it was kind of already stated what I was going to say in a way. But I guess maybe to summarize, I agree. I'll touch base with Sue Ellen most certainly, but I do think that the sheer fact that it's been discussed now in multiple meetings and the town is making an effort to garner volunteers for the position. If we were sitting here right now in September, with the election October the 2nd. And we were trying to do that at that point with no board meetings, no board of supervisor meetings, no process, no whatever. The town is making the effort to discuss it, to get the volunteers, to try different ways with the county, et cetera. So while I can't sit here and say anything about the legal part of the charter, I think at least administratively the town is doing what it needs to do to get volunteer board members on board. It's not an uncommon thing in local government to work hard to get volunteers. Everybody has lives outside of what they do in their jobs, even families. So we're working to keep working to get some more volunteers. So I think we're good there.
Yeah, and my worry too with COVID still lingering out there. I mean, if they're meeting that's all it takes is for one or two people of the three to get it, and then we have no backup. So that it kind of scares me. But Councilmember Blunt, I'm sorry, I see your hand.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I kind of wish we could have got on this a little earlier because, again, the only thing I can say, I know we had a similar problem last time, so is to talk to Sue Ellen to take the best path with this, because we did have an issue of this before, waiting for the last minute. And unfortunately, I'm hoping that some volunteers do step up because, like you said, we do have to interview them to make sure, they're the right fit for, to be on the board. So again, things like this should not wait for the last second, maybe I could say, but that's neither here nor there. But talking to Sue Ellen to find out the good practice so that we're not going against our own charter for future references, that's all.
Thank you,
I do.
Councilmember Blunt. Thank you. Hands down. Okay, so I think that's everyone. So we have a path forward, and we'll wait to hear back. If you don't mind just emailing us once you hear back from Mrs. Ferguson. Next, we're into financial business, and actually, Council, I want to apologize. I just noticed, sorry, it shifted on my screen. I do see Miss Renee Green on here. And I know we've already voted on the agenda. Would you all allow a friendly amendment to have her just do a brief patriotic committee update? We saw her, what was that, Saturday, and she had reached out asking if she could get on the agenda to get a brief update. And I wasn't sure, I thought it was for the work session. I didn't realize it was for this meeting, but I do see her now. So I just want to make sure, Council, you all are comfortable with this update. I saw a shrug, a head nodding. Okay.
Yeah,
All
brief
right.
update.
All
yeah,
right,
Marie.
thank you. Okay, Ms. Green, over to you for a patriotic update.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me a couple minutes here. Just a brief update. I'm going to thank Saturday's event was absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Chief Collington, for that, and the police department and everyone that participated. That was actually awesome. My brief update is to remind everyone that Memorial Day is coming up. It's going to be on Monday, May 29th. We need to get a check for $100 over to Post 131 for the luncheon. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is Flag Day is Wednesday, June 14th. And we need to consider What the Flag Means to Me program. Last year we had several students did participate, but we did not do the program like we had done in years past. I know COVID's been an issue, other things have been an issue, but I wanted to readdress that and see if there's something that we could do possibly in June. And should we go ahead and continue with the program for 2023? And that's all I had to say for the Patriotic Committee. If anyone has any questions or suggestions.
Yeah, so I know we talked about this and we didn't get to it last year, but the thought was if we did just a small breakfast on a Saturday with the 2022 essay winners along with 2023, and have the council here to greet them and welcome them and their families, allow them to read their essays. Perhaps we record it and put it on the TV station. That would be a way to recognize both this year's winners as well as that last year. It's just last year was a little hard, Ms. Green, coming from winter 2022 into the summer with COVID up and down. But I think we're at a point now where we could do a small program for them, and we still want them to be enthusiastic about what the flag means to me and instill that sense of patriotism there. So that would be my recommendation, but I want to hear from the rest of the team as well.
Mayor James, I support what you put forward, and I do think that we should be honoring the 22 and 23 young people.
Great, thank you.
Yep, I
Um,
support what you put forward, but supporting the
Okay.
22 and 23.
Thank you.
We just talk about later what that looks like.
Yep, agreed. I'll get with you, Ms. Green, to map out a nice program for them, and we can make certificates for them as well, and do that normal award process. But okay, great. Thank you all. So Ms. Green,
Thank
it
you.
looks like we have a path forward. I'll reach out and connect with you about that. And then if you don't mind just sending an email, if you haven't already, to Mr. Charnovich about the annual donation for the Memorial Day luncheon. So we make sure we get that taken care of early.
Okay, I sure will.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to the council for allowing that update from the Patriotic Committee. So next we'll move into, I'm going to call this Vito's universe, because now we're going to dive into everything financial. So actually it's Vito for finance and also Chief Collington's universe. Let me correct myself. So Mr. Tonelli, I will turn it over to you for the constant yield presentation first.
Wait a minute, Mayor, you know we're gonna have you started the clock?
Oh, that's right. Let me get my timer.
I was getting ready to say you are exactly on schedule, 32 minutes into the council meeting, and just counting up the minutes of where we are in the agenda. So try to keep it on task. Can everybody see my screen? I ask that every time.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we'll start my clock too. I haven't started yet, so it doesn't count. So okay, so this is by February 14th every year we get our assessment notice from State Department of Assessment and Taxation. This year we have almost $565 million of assessed property in town. That's pretty good for 1 square mile. This is up from 549,000 this current year. Okay, so this 565 is for the FY24 assessments that people will be paying the property taxes on. This is a 2.8% increase. Okay, that's what you want to remember with this whole constant yield discussion. The constant yield wants to keep the same tax revenues to the town this year as next year. Okay, so what happens is if the assessments go up 2.8%, the constant yield wants to drop the property tax rate by 2.8%. This is important right here. The town hasn't changed the property tax rate in well over a decade. I want to say it's almost 2 decades now. But the increase in property values with the same tax rate applied is going to bring in more revenues. How much more revenues? It's going to bring in $115,000 in more revenues to the town. Okay, the tax rate isn't increasing. It is just 115,000 or 2.8% more tax revenues coming into the town. Now the constant yield rate says you should have enough money to operate off of last year for next year, operate off the current year as next year. Okay, so you should drop your tax by 2.8% from, let me go back up here, from 74 cents per $100 down 2.8% to 0.719 cents per $100. Now, this is kind of, it kind of straps a town or municipality or county because you're not increasing taxes, just the property values went up. So you have the same tax rate applied to a little bit higher property values. So $115,000 more comes into the town. The constant yield rate wants to bring it down, so it's the same revenues as last year. Okay, easy enough. But we have to advertise it as a tax increase, have to advertise it to the citizens as a tax increase. And hopefully, as the mayor said, that the work session is the last time we're going to be going through this process. One of the things is that we're a larger municipality, so I think 115 out of the 159 municipalities don't have to go through this process. Why don't they have to go through it? Because if your revenues are $25,000 difference or less, you don't have to go through this process. Okay, we're a larger municipality, so a little bit of an assessment increase is going to have more of a tax revenue to the town. So we have to advertise it as a tax increase and have to hold a public hearing. And this is what the actual advertisement will go out in the paper to say. Just everything that we talked about. The assessments increased from 549 million to 564 million. It's 2.8% increase, resulting in $115,000 of new real tax revenues to the town. In order to fully offset the increasing assessments, additional revenue to the town, the tax rate should be decreased to 0.7196. And we have to have a hearing that in May, per state law, that we have to recess the council meeting, have a hearing to discuss this, and then go back into the council meeting to adopt the tax rate. I have 30 seconds left. One thing that is important, the State Department of Assessment and Taxation assesses 1/3 of all the properties in the county each year. They do it from a 30,000-foot level, okay? They're not coming in, knocking on doors, inspecting your property or anything, or walking through your backyard. They encourage you to file for an appeal. If you think your rate is too high, they encourage you to file an appeal. You know, if there's 3 bathrooms on there, you only have 2 working bathrooms, we had damage to the house, no one's in there, let them know. If you've done, I wouldn't call them renovations, but if you think your property value is too high, pull some comparables from your neighbors. And I have the address here to the local assessor's office from SDAT. They encourage residents to do that because they're doing it a lot of properties in the state from this high level. And if there's something wrong, they want to know. One last thing too, I know I'm over time, but there are some people can be exempted from paying property taxes through the state. Those are veterans, disabled veterans, and surviving spouses may be exempted from paying property taxes. So we'll post that up on an e-blast with some more information. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Any questions from the council? I'm glad this is the last time we're going to have to do this because the legislation is moving forward on constant yield and we will not have to repeat this in 2024. So, Mr. Charnovich, I see your hand. Did you lower it?
No,
Okay.
No. Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of order for the next item on the agenda, actually, letter B. Mr. Tonelli and I had a sidebar in between meetings, and he wanted me to make mention that the next item with the budget workshop dates may matter as it relates to the last item on the agenda if the April meeting date is changed. If it stays the same, I guess that is what it is. So I don't know if you wanted to possibly discuss that later on in the meeting in conjunction with the April meeting. Or I'm not sure how confident everybody is that we're going to keep the April 10th meeting date where it is. So I just want to point that out, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Because I know, it's like duplication. It's in both places, but I do just want to call out. So I know Mr. Charnovich circulated an email to the council with budget dates just to make sure we don't have any schedule conflicts. And I think everyone responded, or most everyone responded, but did want to call out that Monday, April 10th is Easter Monday. And just with the understanding that some people travel to be with their families, wanted to raise the question, do we want to shift that April 10th budget meeting / the regular council meeting and the work sessions, even to push that over to April 11th or a different date? silence.
I mean, I know, right?
Because you have Good Friday, then you're
Right.
going into Easter weekend.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, some people are off doing, religious observances on
Yeah.
Good Friday, and then it carries over to Monday. So we at least wanted to ask so that it's not the day of and we realize we only have 2 people who can be here. So,
I think we should move it. I don't know if the next day is that Tuesday, but yeah. Or maybe that Tuesday is. But I think we should move it just for some other people's considerations and observances.
yeah. And the one caveat I will say is, while obviously we can push it to the 17th, the budget work session to that date, but yeah, thank you, Mr. Tonelli.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
that date is already taken, and then plus it puts us even closer to the next council meeting. So we'd only have 3 weeks in between, and I don't want to compress your schedules that way. So I was hoping we could just find a date if you all want to move it later the week of the 10th.
I mean, look, the 11th is fine for me. I don't know about everybody else, but the 11th is fine.
Okay. Councilmember McBride?
That week, I know the 13th may be difficult for me, but I think any other day that week might work.
Okay.
Are the town offices open on that day?
I mean,
On the 11th?
On the 10th, on the 11th? I just, for information purposes, I'm just not clear.
Yes, they are open on the 10th and 11th.
I'm fine with any day that week. I don't think we should push it out.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Blunt, for your schedule?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. So can we go with the 11th? Somebody was saying something. Did I miss? Let me scroll. Oh, okay. So is there agreement to move it to the 11th? And then we can formally vote on it when we get down to it in the agenda item, but I at least wanted to have the discussion now with the schedule up. Okay. Great. So it looks like we have a tentative date, and then one moment, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Gray was informing me of his schedule, which is an important consideration. The 13th is better for him due to other previously scheduled, community meetings that he has to do. So, Councilmember McBride, that's your conflict date, right?
I can probably work something out.
Okay.
13, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, you all, but he was waving me down with a no, so I didn't want to move on without his input. So tentatively the 13th, we'll vote on it officially once we get down to that item. But thank you for just checking your schedules to see what works for you all. Next up is the FY 2024 Town of Bladensburg budget priorities. So Mr. Tonelli, I think we're still with you.
This is just to open up a discussion. I know we have 10 minutes on here, but we do the budget in-house. I mean, I just go ahead and do it because we know what we have to pay what we have to pay folks, to keep the police force on and public works and code and town hall staff. We know the utilities, the insurances, supplies and everything, what we need for road improvements, groundworks, everything. I guess what's missing, what we really need this is your budget. So we really need input from the mayor and council. any priorities that you would like to see. I know that the ARPA funding has been a great vehicle for that, to concentrate on community priorities, but anything else you can think of, anything else, just to put on the floor that we can work some numbers up in the meantime. Just last thing I want to do is just just throw a budget down and say, here, sign this and approve it. You know what I mean? So I really need, everybody's buy-in. I think Mr. Charnovich would agree too, and Chief, all the directors on here. This is your budget at the end of the day. I mean, we put it together, but you're voting on it, and this is your plan. This is your vision for the town for the next year, and so and so on. So. I mean, one of the things that we've got to talk about is, what we talk about every year is the cost of living increases. I mean, last year we bumped them up pretty well because of high inflation, but this year, it's come down, but they're still between, the Washington metro area and the Baltimore area are still between 4.5% and 6.5%. I've been watching that every month since December, hoping it comes down for budgetary purposes, but at the same time, the salary component drives a lot of this. So salaries are more than half of our budget now, a little bit less of the budget now because of the increase in ARPA funding. And Mayor, what you said before, we will be at a $10 million budget, but that is because of the influx of the ARPA funds and what Chief will talk about soon, also the speed camera funds. So, but I just want to stop there, just to, get some input from the mayor and council.
Great, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Councilmember Rao, I see your hand, and then I have a couple of comments as well.
Thank you, Mayor James. So here in our work session, we talked about all of our priorities and our needs, and I would like to have and see a budget reflect the consultants that we need, because we don't have the staff in-house to be able to push those adequate projects forward. So I'm not sure if that will fall under like the mayor and council for project consultants, or if that is under the town administrator's budget. I'm not sure where it goes, but given the priorities listed, we need someone to, especially we just have a contract. We just brought on a contractor to do some redevelopment, strategy and thinking and supportive services for us. We need to make room to continue that out. Development doesn't happen overnight. Annexation, which is very important, that doesn't happen overnight as well. So I would like to see at least those two consultant projects in our budget moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rao. And I do know that there is a line item in the town administrator's budget for consultants. So the question is, so there's 70K in there currently. Is that going to be enough to sustain where we're trying to go? And I totally understand that's where Councilmember Rao is saying where we need to match the body of work, the priorities with the funding. But I'm comfortable leaving it there. I think the big question is just making sure that there's enough in there, because we've already approved as a council a consultant for supporting the work at the Bostwick House, a consultant to help with the trade school project, a consultant that can help with, the capital project here at the town hall as well. So that's a bucket. But then we also discussed having the HR consultant too. And while the capital projects, that funding can come out of the administrative costs in the shorter term, down the road, I think we need to have a strategy in terms of how we're going to sustain that through the duration of the project, because Bostwick House won't be done in a year. That's a long-term project that is going to require years of effort to get it where we envision it being. The other thing is in community events. With COVID, we've started ramping back up and doing more to engage residents. And so that line item wasn't sufficient this current budget year for FY23. So I think bumping that up as well is important to accommodate a couple more events. The I'm sorry, Mr. Charnovich, was that your hand that popped up or was that Mr. Tonelli? Someone's went up and then down. Go ahead, Mr. Tonelli, sorry.
Mr. Tonelli.
It was me, just talking about the consultants. I think we also had something in there in this year's budget for parking study. So I think that's got to be carried over in the next fiscal year as well.
Okay. So we've got easily 5 right there that are contractors / consultants that we need to accommodate for. From the rest of the team, any other big picture items that you see that are missing?
I'm sorry, Mayor James, follow up. Also, I don't know if the team feels that maybe we could pull some ARPA for some of these consultants for the shorter term, like, I don't know, parking study. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Just, is that, because that may be like a one and done, or like maybe over the course of maybe 1 or 2 years, and we still would have ARPA. So I know, so are we budgeting ARPA too at this, in this?
So,
Said, yeah, absolutely.
And as we get into those budget conversations, that's where we'll have to delineate the funding sources. So again, not that we have to do it tonight, but that is something to keep in mind as we move forward. One question I have, just because I'm sitting next to your agency chief, is on vehicles and a vehicle, just an outline to the council of the vehicle replacement plan, so we understand how many new cruisers we'll need to be looking to purchase in the coming year would be helpful. I know you have the funds coming through speed cameras, but let's just say we can go ahead and help put a dent in replacing those outdated vehicles that have the higher maintenance costs and just are not worth continuing to maintain. So that information would be really helpful too. Not saying we can go on July 1 and make those purchases, but at least understanding the overall timeline for that would be helpful. Mr. Tonelli, I don't see any other hands, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you, or I guess it's a combination of you and the chief on the speed camera revenue.
Yeah, I'll let Chief go ahead and start.
Drum roll, please. We are anxiously anticipating these numbers, Chief. $5 million.
All right. So I want to say good afternoon, Mayor, Council, colleagues, and residents. So, we started the speed camera program about 2 years ago, and we finally got it up and running. There were a lot of glitches along the way with the software and so forth and so on. So the equipment malfunctioned several times, but now we finally are at a place now where we see positive revenue coming in. And I would say as of today, we are at $425,000 in paid tickets that's sitting in the bank right now. So with the way that things are going, we may be on path for revenues for speed camera to be around $1 million by the end of the year. So that's where we are there. But we also want to make sure that everyone knows that this is not a money getting a venture, but it's just the accountability. When people speed above the posted speed limit, they are held accountable. So we have had our cameras vandalized several times over the past 2 months. So we are, looking into that as well. But no, so not everyone is happy when they receive a citation and they take it upon themselves and vandalize the equipment, which is a criminal offense. So that would take care of itself in due time. So I just wanted to, let everyone know that right now we are sitting at, as of today, $425,000 in the bank.
Great,
So
thank you.
I'm sorry, man. They make deposits weekly. Conduit is our vendor, so they make deposits weekly to the account, which is a separate account, and Mr. Tonelli is monitoring that as well.
That separate account that only can be spent on law enforcement related items, and that's why it's separate and not in our general account.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. And I mean, I'm, like you said, I'm not celebrating that people are getting tickets, but what's concerning is that without those cameras, that many people could have been driving dangerously throughout the community, given how many of our residents walk, whether it's to bus stops or walk, you know, to the grocery store, or the kids traveling to school. So hopefully people calm down and decide they don't want to keep paying us this ticket money. But thank you for making that program get off the ground finally, after talking about it for how many years? Councilmember Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Chief. Chief, real quick. So when the cameras are vandalized, what's the cost? And before you answer, I also want residents to know, because we live here in Bladensburg as well, and we have to obey the speed camera laws. So we do want residents, because some residents, if you have received a ticket, it's I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's about safety.
Absolutely. Now, so what we've been taking care of it ourselves, removing the graffiti off the glass in the window of the camera. So whoever this person is they're spray painting the glass on the camera itself. So at that point, it won't detect. But we've been successful. Officers check it throughout the night, and we get it right off.
Great, thank you for that, Chief. And then Councilmember Blunt had a question for you.
Of course. Chief, have you decided, or even, I mean, you have the money, we know is because of tickets. Have you decided or discussed how those funds would be spent and what projects or what car you plan to, purchase with that? I'm just throwing it out there, honestly.
Yeah, so glad you mentioned that, Councilmember Blunt. That is the next couple of items down on the list. So our goal is to take the burden off of the town revenue as much as we can. Now that we have the speed camera, that money can only be spent for public safety, projects. So we want to be able to take that burden, that financial burden, away from the town's funds, and it'll come straight from speed camera funds. So that funds, you could pay public safety, you could pay positions on it, you could pay salaries, you could pay expenses on it. Everything related to public safety.
Yeah, thank you for that response, Chief, and thank you for the question, Councilmember Blunt. And so, Chief, I think we're sticking with you in terms of the question, have you thought about how to spend the money? So do you want to take us through the next couple of items?
Yes, ma'am. So let me pull it up here. So the first item that we are looking to purchase, 2 vehicles, which would come from the speed camera funds. One is a Chevy Tahoe. We have currently 2 Tahoes in the fleet now that we want to replace those. And I don't want to do both of them at the same time. I want to do one now, as well as stay with the hybrid vehicles for our patrol. So I'd like to also propose another hybrid SUV for patrol purposes. In addition to that, we would like to purchase 4 electric bikes for our summer crime initiative. I would like to have these bikes out in the community before the summer get here, so that we can, have officers out riding bikes throughout the community, being visible, spending time in our business districts as well as our residential areas. But they'll be on bicycles, so they can stop and talk, greet our residents, and just spend time, having that extra set of eyes in our community. So, this was a project that I wanted to get started for a while, and we now have the means of getting that taken care of. These bikes, the total for the bicycles will be 4 electric bikes, fully equipped, it should be in your package with all the equipment that will be on it. But the bikes themselves, each $3,895. For 4 of them, it would be $23,293. And those bikes will come already equipped with the light, siren, the bags, and everything else that will go on them. For the hybrid cruiser to help with the fuel and things like that, though the Ford will be $44,395. And then for the Chevy Tahoe, that would be an additional $52,000 for that. And that will have the equipment and everything. Not all of the equipment, it will have some of the equipment because it will be a police package Tahoe. So we would still need to send it for the radio and things like that. That will not be in it. But the spotlight and that stuff will be on. So those are the 3 items that I would like to, and those funds again will come strictly from the speed cameras, not from the town.
Great, thank you, Chief. And then I apologize, I'm not seeing the bottom line for the Tahoe. I see the base price. Can you give me that amount one more time, Chief?
It will be, it's listed right there in the,
I know I'm looking past it.
It's $52,382.
53,382. Okay. And then for the hybrid 45,390, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, okay. So I guess we can take these individually. So with the agenda, the car purchases are listed first. So is there a motion to approve the purchase of 2 vehicles as Chief described? One, sorry, Rich, go ahead. Was there? I'm sorry, I missed your hand. Sorry, and Vito, I'm sorry. I'm looking down at papers and not.
That's, I know.
That's my fault. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
That's all right. I wanted to make sure before motion started to be made, that Mayor, that Mr. Tonelli had a chance to say what he wanted to say. And we also drafted a general skeleton budget amendment that can be prepared to read, that I can read tonight. Emergency budget ordinance. I wanted to point that out, but Mr. Tonelli is waiting to pop the numbers in there based on the discussion here tonight. So I wanted to make mention of that housekeeping. But with that, Mr. Tonelli would go ahead. Thank you, Mayor.
Hey, Chief, we normally spend around $14,500 per vehicle to get them equipped, include the MDT, and all the equipment and everything. Should we include those in the price of each vehicle?
Yes, yeah, I think we should put that in as well, so that the total budget is there.
Yeah, I would round it up to $15,000 depending on when these vehicles come in, because what they do is they take the entire vehicle apart. I believe, right, Chief? They take all the body panels off, everything out, install the equipment, and then put the whole thing back together again. So that's why it costs so much. And that also includes the lettering and graphics, all the equipment, everything. So it'll be an additional $15,000 per vehicle to capture the full cost.
So I think you're right. Procedurally, it has to be the emergency budget ordinance. So Mr. Tonelli, do you need a moment to drop those numbers in there? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Charnovich.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, Mayor and Mr. Tonelli, if you're okay with it, maybe you want to pop that up on the screen and share your screen and we can get that organized, or are you comfortable doing it that way, Mr. Tonelli?
I'm gonna start playing Jeopardy music.
If anybody wants some comic relief while we wait, the joke in the office is that I'm too slow of a driver to get pulled over to get caught by the speed camera on Kenilworth. So I'm a 5 under kind of guy. So fortunately for me, I'm not contributing to the town's fun yet. Sorry, Chief.
That is the joke.
Yeah.
Chief, how long did it take him to pull out of the parking lot? 20 minutes?
I thought he had a vehicle malfunction.
Y'all see the budget amendment?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Let's change the date real quick. I'm sorry.
Nope, no problem.
There. Mr. Charnovich, do you want to, I'm sorry, y'all. I pulled up the wrong one. Give me a second.
No problem. I know you're doing this on the fly, so
I know.
just appreciate your
It's-
flexibility.
Hamsters on the wheel turning. Where might it go? And it's right here. Oof, okay. Can you all see this budget amendment?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, I guess procedurally, I mean, this is the budget amendment, but I think, I don't know if you need to discuss it anymore, but I'll keep up on screen and let you all discuss it. Mr. Tronovich wants to read it from there. It's already listed as an emergency ordinance, so it could be passed at this session.
Okay, sorry, I was just reading it over. Does anyone on the
And Chief, double
council have
check my
questions?
numbers right here. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, Chief, please let us know if the numbers are correct. And while you're doing that, I'm just scrolling to see if there's any raised hands.
Sorry it took so long.
No problem at all.
I do have a question. So how, for the I'm sorry, my apologies, let me back up. For the software purchase of the Civic Plus Citizen Request Management software, would that be that's a one-off? Is that to begin the program and to get it up and running, and then we will have to pay an annual subscription?
Yeah, it's an annual subscription, correct, Chief? At least that's how it looked from the contract.
Yes, ma'am. That's an annual subscription for that.
And I did notice in there that if we end that subscription, that they will pull all that data out of the
Data.
system and give it to us, because that's an important component too. We don't want to lose that information.
Absolutely.
So Mr. Charnovich, hearing no questions or corrections, do you mind reading the emergency ordinance?
Not at all, Mayor. Before I start, Mr. Tennelly, for number 1 and 2, did you want to just put the total numbers in there, or do you add it together out of the 4, or do you prefer to leave it as is? What do you?
Is that good?
Yeah, let's make it as crystal as
Possible.
possible.
And then just one question, Chief, I wrote down 53,382, or should it be 52,382 for the Tahoe?
It should be 52. Let me go back. It should be 52,382.
Okay, thank you. Should have known Vito was right.
No. Question everything.
All right. Let me get my, oh man, let me get my water here.
Rich, is that large enough for you to read? Make it a little bigger.
I do have my goggles on, but you can make it a little, you can make it a little bit larger. Can't hurt. Thank you, sir. So we have emergency ordinance number 5 of 2023 for the fiscal year 2023 budget amendment. It's an ordinance to amend the operating budget of the town of Bladensburg, Maryland for 2023 fiscal year, July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Whereas town administrator of the town of Bladensburg has made a recommendation to the mayor and council to amend the FY23 budget to reallocate funds as part of this fiscal year. And whereas the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg have determined that it is in the best interest of the town to pass this budget amendment ordinance at the March 13, 2023 council meeting. Whereas, now therefore be it enacted and ordained by the mayor and town council of the town of Bladensburg that the following amendments are made to the general operating budget for fiscal year 2023. Number 1 is to allocate $52,382 of the speed camera funds for the capital purchase of a 2023 Chevy Police Tahoe and $15,000 for the install of equipment and graphics for a total of $67,382. Number 2, allocate $44,395 of speed camera funds for the capital purchase of a 2023 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor and $15,000 for the install of equipment and graphics for a total of $59,395. Number 3, allocate $23,293 of the speed camera funds for the capital purchase of 4 police electric bikes outfitted with equipment. Number 4, allocate $7,500 of the speed camera funding for the software purchase of Civic Plus Citizen Request Management Software, for a total speed camera funds to be used for public safety purchases in this ordinance for those 4 items of $157,570. And be it further enacted and ordained that upon passage, this ordinance shall be authenticated by signature of the mayor and town clerk and shall be recorded in a book kept for that purpose. In addition, this ordinance shall be published by posting a certified copy of it in the town hall for 10 days following its adoption, pursuant to Article 2, Section 209 of the Charter of the Town of Bladensburg, Maryland, and will be effective the 23rd day of March 2023. And that concludes the emergency budget ordinance reading. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich. Mr. Tonelli, could you just scroll all the way up to the top for us one more time, please? Thank you. So with that, is there a motion to approve emergency ordinance number 05-2023 for fiscal year 2023?
Yes, so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Councilmember Rao. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. It passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Chief, for putting all this information together for us.
And thank you, Mayor and Council. I definitely appreciate your support.
Absolutely happy to help. So that completes all of the financial business, unless Chief is buying us some dinner with that speed camera money.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, we'll
Hey,
take
man,
it.
oops, that was a joke. Can't do
That was,
that.
I know, that was a joke.
We have to eat it in the police station because it's a police
There you
station
go.
purchase.
It was a big joke. So at this time, we move into new business, and just a brief summary. In the work session, we did agree on having a Bladensburg redevelopment consultant help us to reinvigorate our master planning process and move forward with some next steps on our redevelopment, specifically for the 450 Annapolis corridor. And that is at the amount of $10,000 between now and the end of the current fiscal year. So Mr. Charnovich, who is our interim town administrator, does have the authority to sign off on that agreement. But if you missed the work session, please go back and watch it. I think Mr. Hawkins is going to do a great job on behalf of the Bladensburg community as our redevelopment consultant. The next item under new business is the proclamation for Women's History Month. And so Mr. Tonelli, I'm sorry, not Mr. Tonelli, Mr. Charnovich, will turn it over to you to read the proclamation for our residents.
One second, Mayor, to get organized here.
And one note, while Mr. Charnovich is getting organized over there, I did ask that the signature area on the proclamation be changed because this is the first time in our town's history that we have an all-women council, and thought it would be very, very meaningful to have each of you sign the proclamation before we post it. So that is one change that will happen before we sign it, and just ask everyone to stop by and put their signature on it.
What's the time frame? This, like, the next couple of days?
In the next 5 minutes? No. In the next couple of days is fair. In March, please, before Women's History Month is over, please.
We are history.
That's right.
Yes.
Are you ready, Mr. Charnovich?
Yes, Mayor. I just wanted to mention before I read it that Mr. Jeffries gave me a slightly amended version today that when I read it, it's slightly different. So it won't be what you received in the package. I want to point that out. And he and I did not talk about the concept of the all five of you signing it, which makes all the sense in the world. So I will make a note to talk to him about that. So we make sure we have that as the final version. We have a proclamation tonight for Women's History Month. Whereas the town of Bladensburg, Maryland recognizes March as Women's History Month, and whereas Bladensburg celebrates the first African-American all-women council in the town's 281-year history, and will continue celebrating women's history with the Bladensburg Police Department's first annual Women's Rose Awards, which were just held this past Saturday, not in the proclamation, but for everybody watching. And whereas the town of Bladensburg congratulates the extraordinary achievements of women of every race, class, and ethnic background, and will promote Bladensburg trailblazing women of the past and present. Now, therefore, the Council of the Town of Bladensburg, Maryland, does hereby proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month in the town of Bladensburg. Further, we encourage all town residents to join us by participating in Women's History Month festivities, read into the record this evening of March 13th, 2023. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich, and I appreciate you working with Mr. Jeffries on the edits that we discussed before the reading, but I want to thank you and the staff for putting this together. I think it's very timely and very, very appropriate. Any comments or questions from the council before we move forward? All right, hearing none. The next item, which we discussed briefly as we were talking about the budget dates, was the April 2023 council meeting. And so want to ask for a motion to formally move the council meeting, which is currently slated for Monday, April 10th to Thursday, April 13th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rao. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. So that completes new business. Wow, we got through a lot of information tonight. So we're winding down, coming down on the home stretch, and we'll proceed with staff reports, beginning with Mr. Tonelli and the treasurer's report.
I've talked plenty this evening. I'm just going to touch on a couple things real quick that I think are noteworthy. Can everybody see my treasurer's report?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The business personal property taxes are still coming in much higher than we anticipated. We're seeing much higher levels, like 50% higher than last year. And we still have 2 more tax filing dates ahead of us, April 15th and June 15th. So that helps to carry the revenues. Another big thing is the interest. You can see the interest that we are receiving. This is a history from FY18. You can see when the bottom dropped out in the interest rate market. I think we only budgeted $4,000 of interest income this year. We're up to almost $200,000, 2/3 of the way into the fiscal year. Excuse me. So, where's Rich's water? So that is because of the fund balance and the. I'm done. So my financial report is in there. So
I was gonna say, I hear you. If you want, we can move on to public safety and come back to you so you can get some water. So feel free to tap out. We'll go to public safety. Over to you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thank you again, council and colleagues and community residents. I'll be brief, Mayor. I just want to highlight a few things. I will be going over Mr. Reinhardt's report first, because unfortunately he could not make it with us today, and I ask that everyone keep Mr. Reinhardt in your prayers as he go through a procedure that he's having. So we just keep everybody, would like to ask everybody to keep him in your prayers. So for the month of February, there were 7 bulk trash reminder notices issued to residents for heavy trash at the curb. Code enforcement removed 10 signs from poles, 16 from right-of-way. Total signs removed year-to-date is 84. There were 12 abandoned vehicles that were in residential areas. 3 were in the business area. 2 were in apartment areas. 2 were impounded. Year-to-date, code has removed 13 abandoned vehicles, and 1 vehicle had to be impounded. Code enforcement received 2 graffiti complaints, and they mitigated those. And that's his report for the month of February. I just want to let remind the community that on March 15th, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Bladensburg Police Station, we will be giving away steering wheel locks to residents only. And I want to reemphasize the fact that it is for Bladensburg residents only. At this time, if you have a Kia or Hyundai vehicle with a key ignition between the years of 2015 and 2021, you can receive a free steering wheel lock per vehicle while supplies last. If you cannot make March 15th, you can, after March 15th, you can still make an appointment through our traffic enforcement section by sending an email to trafficsafety@bladensburgmd.gov. And I just want to say that it is our intention to decrease the amount of Hyundai and Kia vehicles that are being stolen in our town. This is across the board. This is unfortunately, at this trend, this time, it is a high commodity vehicle that people are stealing. I just got, and I'll just share a quick story. I just got a text this morning from one of my siblings, and he told me that he just witnessed 4 teenagers breaking into and stealing a Kia, and before he can make the phone call, that car was gone. So this is how fast they can take your Kia or your Hyundai. So we would strongly encourage everyone, if you have a car fitting the models that I just described, to please come and get a free steering wheel lock. We have partnered with Kia and Hyundai, and we want to, give them a shout out and thank them for taking this problem serious as well. And I would stop there, Mayor. I think I talked more than Vito today.
Thank you so much, Chief. Always great information coming from your team. We'll move forward with the town clerk and interim town administrator report.
Thank you, Mayor. As we all went over and talked about this evening, we certainly have a ton happening in the admin side of the building. We discussed our project worksheet. That is a significant amount of what we're working on right now. And that's not even covering the day-to-day matters that come up on a day-to-day basis that may not even be on that document. So we are continuing to press onward each and every day. So just wanted to point that out. And again, looking forward to the upcoming budget sessions to help map out the future year and years to come for Bladensburg. One other point I wanted to make to bring up right now, that I did receive a comment from our distinguished former town receptionist, Diane. And I think Diane might even be on the call this evening, but I wanted to make sure I made mention that she sent a note of thanks and gratitude to everyone for the nice celebration we had for her, and also for everybody's kind words at the last meeting. I didn't want to leave you hanging, Diane, because I have to be very official in my role, that I can't, but not being a Bladensburg resident, I didn't want to create that vibe of allowing non-citizen comments. I mean, non-resident comments. I'm sorry, non-resident comments of Bladensburg. But I wanted to make sure the council was aware of your gratitude and your note to everyone, staff and council. So I think that's really all I have this evening, Mayor. And I can touch on also, before you jump to it, Mr. Hall actually asked me earlier today if he could be excused from the meeting. He had a family matter to tend to, and being a family man myself, I certainly, told him to do what he had to do with his family from the meeting this evening. With his family. So he did submit his written report that was provided in the council packets on everything that the public works department has been working on over the last month. So with that, I can also stop talking. I feel a cough jack coming on too, Vito. I think we have something coming through the lines here, but not sure what's going on. So thank you very much, Mayor. And it was one more thing. I must say it was my honor and privilege to read the Women's Proclamation Month ordinance. Resolution into the record this evening. I think it's a phenomenal thing to be a part of. So I could commend everyone on the mayor and the council for your leadership as you take on all these amazing, very difficult and amazing challenges here in Bladensburg. So I continue to wish you all the best as you fight along. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich, and we truly appreciate your comments as well. Glad to have you on our team. At this time, that completes the staff report, so we'll move right into the mayor and council reports, and we're going to switch it up and start with Ward 2 with Councilmember Blunt.
Hello. Thanks, Chief. I'm just, thanks, Chief. I really have nothing to say. I'm going to forego, but know that I'm still around. I'm still here, and I look to see the chief here for coffee with a cup. The residents are waiting for you, and I thank you so much for doing that. They're waiting.
Councilmember Blunt, is that coffee coming out of the speed camera revenue? Is that what's happening?
I think so. Matter of fact, I think we want coffee,
waffles,
Dunkin' Donuts, waffles. We want a full breakfast. A full breakfast, okay? Because my residents clowned me about voting for cameras when I first got on board. So at least I can get that breakfast here.
I think they would appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you.
Thank you,
Man.
Councilmember.
And
Black.
also look forward to working with Councilmember McBride on some things coming up. We talked today and we're gonna be working on some special projects too.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And next we'll jump over to Ward 1 with Councilmember Rout.
Oh, I thought you said you were with Ward 2, but okay.
It's back and forth.
Yeah, I see now. Right. So thank you so much, Mayor Jane, for giving me this opportunity. 8:31. So I wanted to first and foremost thank the businesses that have been reaching out to me. Just wanted to just gauge their support. I have been sharing information that's been offered at the county level with them as it relates to supportive services that they can continue to access as a business here in Prince George's County. I have been visiting Annapolis, meeting with our delegation, our legislators who are working on our behalf in the state of Maryland from Prince George's County, talking about their bills as it relates to what is important for us here in the town. Residents, I'm just so thankful that you all are really interested in starting to roll up your sleeves again. I know COVID, we all disappeared because we were so worried about everything. And so because businesses and residents have been reaching out to me, I will be hosting here at a faith-based institution here in town, a town hall meeting where I want to hear the concerns. We will have presentations by Jolene Ivy, board member Adam Stafford, and our Chief Collinson, just to highlight some of the things, hear concerns, and present the Town of Bladensburg projects as it relates to engagement. And so I did one of these virtually, and I'm going to take a stab at it in person. And so I'm partnering with a nonprofit, a new nonprofit that recently started here in town. So I am really, really, really excited. Trash, that seems to be a concern for some of our residents. I'm hearing about redevelopment, increasing revenue, and working with Councilmember Brown to really look at some of the issues identified with the Quincy Village on alleviating some of those issues. Thank you so much. I think I got a little bit of time left. Yield back.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. Excellent. Next, we will, actually, we're staying in Ward 1 this time with Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy Women's History Month again. And just a really quick, I would like to give a little update with the ARPA funding for our businesses. So we have completed the application. The applications, hopefully by the end of this week, will be posted on the website. Also, this month, we are going to send out the postcards to the businesses so that they are aware of the funding, and then we will deliver the applications. Some couple of applications may have already been delivered to some businesses. So just want to make that acknowledgement to the public that the application for the businesses to receive the funding is well underway. And if you're on this call, you can pass the word, spread the word, and they can contact the town. Yeah, yes. And go to the, like I said, and go to the website. Also, just want to make it, I mentioned real quick, we had Delegate Diana Fennell, Chief of Staff on the phone, but she had to leave and go to another meeting, but she did ask that we give this communication that this coming Thursday, there will be a food giveaway at the Rolling Crest Children's Community Center from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Also, that the Delegate Fennell Scholarship Program is open and the deadline is April the 15th. So you have until April the 15th. That is for high school seniors and also for our seasoned saints as well. Okay. So like I said, the deadline for the scholarship for Delegate Diana Fennell is April the 15th. And also if you write, well, they've had some changes in Annapolis, but if you would like to receive Delegate Fennell's newsletter, please email her office at diana.fennell, that's FENNELL, at house.state.md.us. And also, if you want to request a scholarship, you can go to her website at dianafennell.com. Thank you, and stay safe.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. And next we will jump back across town to Councilmember McBride.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. Like Councilmember Blunt said, we have discussing things. So look forward to Ward 2, being a little more intrigued and exciting, and we need some residents to get involved. Also, let's see, I attended the anniversary celebration of Pastor JJ with the Decatur Baptist Church. I want to tell him congratulations again. I think he celebrated 3 years as being pastor, and we're looking forward to doing work with our churches within Bladensburg. So look forward to Councilmember McBride. Okay, visiting me personally, maybe at some point. Since I can't get you online, I'm gonna pay a visit personally. Also looking forward to doing a gardening committee, if at all possible. I have some seniors that are interested in doing a gardening committee, and also probably partnering with Elizabeth Seton High School. And one other reminder to our summer youth, the applications are open on Prince George's County website. Please, 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 if you can, apply. You deserve to have a summer job. You deserve to have income, and I encourage you to do so. And that's it.
Excellent report. Thank you, Councilmember McBride. Let me restart my timer and start talking like the car commercial. So for the month of February, we kicked things off with a follow-up meeting to the municipal retreat that State's Attorney Brave Boy hosted in January. So thank you to Councilmember Rout and McBride for attending that. But the purpose of that meeting was to collectively, and Chief was there as well, to come up with specific ideas that could be sent over to Senator Augustine, that could be worked into legislation and funded to deal with some of the crime initiatives and really crime prevention initiatives. So look forward to seeing legislation move on that. I have been very engaged in the legislative committee for PGCMA, and I think the evidence of that body of work is just the collective voices being elevated in the outcome that we saw with rent stabilization legislation. So I look forward to continuing to work through PGCMA to elevate our voice along with the other 26 municipalities in Prince George's County. One important thing for our community to note is on February 15th, the Maryland Board of Public Works approved a request to support a $160,000 grant. This is important because there has been hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on renewing the Peace Cross, but it's still at a very, let's say, challenged part of the community traffic wise, and there's been a number of accidents, and we can't afford for this newly constructed memorial to be struck by vehicles. And so I'm grateful to Comptroller Learman, Governor Moore, and Treasurer Davis for just making that easy, quickly agreeing to provide the funding to Maryland National Capital Park and planning for that project. As I mentioned earlier in the meetings, I did have the opportunity to attend the Maryland Mayors Association, and there was such good information there to the council. I will be sending you all a presentation on the First Amendment audit, and this is something I've already shared with the directors, but we just need to make sure that you all are aware of the information and how not having these processes in place to protect ourselves and our staff can lead to serious issues down the line. As it relates to police accountability, as I mentioned before, during the conference, there was a bipartisan panel of delegates and senators on that panel. And one of the things that I did offer up as we talk about giving municipalities authority was not just allowing individual authority to the municipalities to have their own police accountability boards and administrative hearing boards, but partnering up. There are a lot of small municipalities who can't afford necessarily to do it on their own, but if they have the port towns, let's say, or other cities and towns that they could partner with to make it affordable. The legislators did seem open to that amendment. And then in terms of the Black History Month program, I want to thank Mr. Jeffries and everyone who contributed. Councilmember Brown, I know you were part of those planning meetings. Thank you for helping bring that vision together. But to the rest of our team, Councilmember Rout, Councilmember McBride, and everyone who participated, we truly are thankful that you came out and celebrated our culture, our history, but also Dr. Bottoms with the Distinguished African American Award. And so with that, the rest of my report will be posted online this week. It's hard to get 7 pages into 3 minutes. So thank you for your patience. And so with that, that concludes tonight's mayor and council reports. We have no other business identified. So I'll now call for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any further comments or questions? I'll just say again, happy Women's History Month, everybody. Hearing no other amendments or edits, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much. We're adjourned. Thank you to everyone who tuned in or watched us via Facebook. And thanks to the entire team. We had 2 great, very productive meetings, and I appreciate you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a
We
good
are
night.
history.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We are her story. How about that?
Catchy,
Yes.
catchy.
Yes, absolutely.
Post
And
that.
don't forget, come by and sign the proclamation so we can post it when you have time,
Got
please,
it.
this week.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.